Hello. Hello, everybody. If you are watching me now, you're joining me for my preconception webinar. I am Dr. Molly Tillman. I am at Thrive Family Chiropractic. I am going to wait a few minutes because I know I've never done a webinar before, so this is new. We're live, and I got to figure all of this out to make sure that I can see everything. Okay, great. So welcome. I'm really excited to do this webinar tonight, and I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if some other people show up. Hi, if you are watching this, give me a like or an emoji or say hello so I know that you're there, so I'm not just talking into the TV or the computer, but I know I'm not alone. So also, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please put them below, and I can see them and I can answer them as I'm talking. I would love to have some interaction. So yes, if you're joining me for this preconception webinar, it's going to be about all the things preconception health and how to enhance your fertility naturally. There may be some people that are watching this that are pregnant right now and are wanting to learn a little bit more about how to increase their health during this pregnancy, have the healthiest pregnancy as possible. Maybe you're not wanting to start a family right now, but you want some information on what that looks like in the future. Hi, Mom. Guys, my mom's here and my son. Hi. Maybe some of you watching this are having some challenges with fertility right now and reproduction health. And so if you fit into this category, you're in the right place. If you see me looking off to the side, by the way, I have some notes. I have to keep on track, otherwise I go off on tangents. So I'm not just trying to avoid eye contact right now. It's these notes that I have. So yes, like I said, feel free to ask questions, give me a like, an emoji, and this webinar is not just for women. I just want to note that as well, because it takes two to tango. So we need to have a healthy egg and a healthy sperm in order to have a healthy baby. And so women, if you're watching this, please share this information with your partners or spouses, because we need to help everybody involved to have a very healthy body in order to have the best outcome. So I'm going to dig in a little bit here, and I have a couple goals tonight that I hope to achieve. I hope that I can educate you all on some things that you may not have known, or a way of looking at things that you may not have had that perception before. And I hope to share what I feel is the missing link in the infertility world. And I'll go into more depth about that. I'm going to get a little nerdy, people, because that's what I do. And so bear with me, though. I promise it's worth it. So I'm going to give you some facts. I'm going to give you some information, but I'm also going to get real. So you're going to see, I'm going to get some information out there, but also just really have a heart-to-heart with you, because I feel that it is important to be authentic and genuine. And I'm going to share some of the struggles that I have, and just really get prepared for the wild ride that we're going to be on, people. I hope to challenge you in the way that you think, or what you've been told about fertility, or what you know, and I hope that that maybe shifts your mindset on some things. I hope to inspire and empower you to take your health in your own hands and define what it is that you really want in your life. Whether that be starting a family. Hi, everybody. My grandma's here. Yes, hi, Grandma. And I hope that whatever those goals are in life, whether it's of starting a family or not, I think it's important, and I hope to empower you to make decisions to get the goals achieved in your life. And it's going to be a touchy subject. So like I said, I'm going to get real, because it's super important. Fertility is not something that you just sit around the dinner table talking about. It's hard to talk about, and there's a lot of emotion and heartbreak that's involved with it. And so I'm not taking the subject lightly, even though I might have some fun and laugh. It's a serious subject. And the information that I have, I feel is so important for people to hear. So that's why I'm here tonight, to share what I know, to share my experience, and know that I'm coming from a place of love and compassion when I say these things. So there might be some things that I say that are uncomfortable or doesn't sit with you, and that's okay. Sit with those feelings, and I encourage you to dig deeper in yourself and find out why that may make you feel uncomfortable. So why am I so passionate about preconception health and infertility challenges? Well, I am a chiropractor, and I love working with families. I have a passion and a specialty working with families, prenatal chiropractic, pediatrics. I've been a huge fan of holistic health for a while, and also I have had my own struggles with reproductive health, let's say. So that really sparks my passion, is because of what I had going on in my life. So here we go, we're gonna get real, people. So when I started having my menstrual cycle when I was in 7th grade, it was horrible. I remember going on a field trip and having horrible cramps the whole time that I couldn't even enjoy it. And I just thought that was normal. And I just, didn't really talk about it. I had really heavy periods. They were irregular. They were very long. I would get migraines, irritability, mood swings. Eventually, I would get cysts on my ovaries. And it was a struggle, and it was not fun. And it was just one of those things that we have to get used to because we're a woman, right? That's what we're told. But that's not the case, because a lot of you may be experiencing or have experienced some of these symptoms that I am just talking about right now. And I want you to know that they are common, but they are not normal. And so I encourage you to think about some of the things that I'm going to mention today where it pertains to your own health. So when I was in chiropractic school, I was about 28 years old, and some of the things in my body started changing. My cycle started changing for the worse, and there were just some things that were red flags that I thought maybe I should get something checked out. And so I did, and I was told that I was premenopausal. And I was 28, I was single, I was not in a place where I was going to be starting a family anytime soon. And having a family and having children, bearing my own children, has always been a goal that I've had in my life. And so when I was told that, I was devastated, because I was just like, whoa, I need to probably start now or start soon, but I'm not in a place for that. And so it was really hard getting that diagnosis. If you've ever been diagnosed with something, it's uncomfortable, it's not fun. And what I did was I decided to do a bunch of research on what this is. So like I said, I was in chiropractic school, so I was surrounded by a bunch of like-minded individuals that I reached out to and asked advice, and I started looking into hormones and health and reproduction and all of that at that time. And chiropractic school is really, really stressful. So I was I was not taking care of myself like I should. I was getting adjusted regularly, but I was not taking care of myself, right? And so I started to look at the things that I was doing in my life and started to make some changes. And so that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. Some of these things that I did, and some of these things that I've learned through experience and research and from other colleagues, in order to help others out there that are having struggles like mine, or different kind of struggles as it comes to fertility. So I believe that there is a missing link in the fertility world, in the way that we go about reproductive health and educating that. And I feel that one of the missing links is addressing the stress that we have and we put on our nervous system. So let me back it up. I'm going to get a little nerdy, you guys. So let's talk about the nervous system and what that is. So that is the brain, the spinal cord and the miles and miles of nerves that come off the spinal cord. And that nervous system is constantly coordinating and communicating and monitoring everything in the body all the time. And it is talking to every cell involved with every function of the body, even when you don't even know that it's happening. And there are 2 different modes of our nervous system that we can be in at any time. We're only in one at a time. You can never be in both. And those are the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. Now, the sympathetic system is our fight or flight system. That kicks in when we're being chased by a wild animal, and it lets us run for our lives or fight for our lives. So it's very, very important to have that mode. The other end of the spectrum is the parasympathetic system. So that is what we will call rest and digest. So that is where immune happens, digestion occurs in that side, healing, growth, and development, all of these good things that we need to sustain life and to live fully happen in parasympathetic system. Now, like I said, both are important for different reasons, but we need to be able to teeter-totter back and forth between the two. And what happens is we get an imbalance of these modes, and then that is caused from stress. So we're going to talk a lot about stress tonight because it is a super, super important topic that we can't talk about if we don't talk about it with health and how it pertains to our health and our body and our function. So let's talk about the 3 different types of stress that we have in our life. When I mention stress, most people think I'm talking about emotional stress. Well, that's one of the stresses. The second stress is chemical, and the third is physical. So let's break it down and talk about each one. So physical stress, that can be caused by just general wear and tear in our bodies. Falling down, accidents, pregnancy is a huge physical stressor. There's a lot of changes going on with our biomechanics. And birth. So birth can be one of the most physically traumatic events in our lives. And even the most perfect birth with no interventions at all can put a lot of stress and strain on that tiny spine and that tiny nervous system as that baby is being born. And most of us have been stressed out from day one because of the birth process. That's another reason why I'm very passionate about working with kiddos and newborns, is getting their nervous system stress-free from day one. But I digress. So let's get back to the different stresses. So number 2, chemical stress. So that occurs from things that we put in our bodies and what we put on our bodies. So things that we're eating, what we're drinking, the medications that we're taking, what we're putting on our bodies, so our hygiene products, the things that we use to clean our house. All of these things carry a chemical load, and that can interfere with the way that our nervous system works and cause stress to our bodies. And then the third stress, which is the most commonly thought of, which is the emotional stress. So that can be from anything that's dealing with relationships, with careers, children, families, health concerns, anything that is internal, our mindset, and that affects how we perceive our environment, and that also it affects the way that we react to our environment, whether it's good or bad. So we have these 3 stressors coming at us day in and day out. Some of this we can control, and some of it we cannot. And inside of our bodies, if you can imagine, we have a little bucket. I'll call this the stress bucket. And it holds all of the stress in our lives. Some days our stress bucket is pretty empty because we're doing pretty well. Other days that bucket gets fuller and fuller, more and more stress comes into that bucket, so much that it starts to overflow and spill over, and that causes overwhelm. And what that leads to is called sympathetic dominance. That is a place when we are unable to cope and adapt to the stress in our lives. So if you remember, the 2 different modes we're in, sympathetic and parasympathetic, that sympathetic dominance, everything is ramped up. We are ready to run. Everything in our organs, in our torso, our organs are shut down because our primary goal is to survive. we go into a deep survival protection mode, okay? And this leads to chronic stress. So what happens when we're in this protection mode is our brain perceives any and everything as stressful. So whether you are being chased by a pterodactyl, or you are trying to prepare for a webinar that you're going to do on a topic that you love, your body is seeing that stress as the exact same, and it reacts in the exact same way, and it kicks out hormones in order to deal with that stress. Now, what those hormones will do is they cause inflammation in the body. So inflammation in itself is not bad. It's actually a very healthy process that our body needs to go through. The problem comes when we are constantly being stressed. We have these 3 stressors coming at us. We are unable to adapt and cope to those stressors. And then these hormones are being released in our body, and the inflammation spikes up and it doesn't clear out. That leads to illness, and that leads to disease, and that leads to our body dysfunctioning. So what else happens when we are chronically stressed? I talked about hormones. We have an imbalance of the hormones of our bodies because of the inflammation in our bodies that breeds more and more dysfunction. So some of the hormones involved with the stress response, chronic stress response, is endorphins are released, adrenaline, cortisol, and epinephrine. Those are just a few of them. And what happens is our body is constantly pumping these hormones out, and then those organs and glands that produce those hormones just really get taxed, and they start to have exhaustion. And then we're leading into organ dysfunction, not just at a cellular or a tissue level. We're completely dealing with organ dysfunction at this point. Some of those hormones are going to cause our blood pressure to rise. They're going to also cause an imbalance with our blood sugar. Our blood sugar is in our blood. We're having a higher amount of sugar in our blood, and then that can lead to other disease and illness down the road. So you see where this is going. It's like a really bad cycle that our body gets into, and we're unable to heal. We're unable to have immune function, because when we're fighting for our lives, our body doesn't care about immune function. It cares about survival. We're unable to have proper digestion, because who cares if we can digest that hamburger that we had while we have this woolly mammoth behind us chasing us, right? So this goes back to caveman days. Like, this is something that has not changed since the beginning of mankind. And this is something that we need, don't get me wrong, but we don't need to get stuck in this, and that's the problem, and that's what I'm going to talk about more in just a moment here. So we're in this complete survival mode, and when we're in this survival mode, we cannot have growth and development because it is biologically and physiologically impossible for us to be in sympathetic and parasympathetic mode at the same time. And so one of my favorite scientists, my little nerdiness, my favorite scientist out there is Dr. Bruce Lipton. He is a biologist, and he studies epigenetics. If you've not heard of him, please check him out. I promise you it'll be worth it, even if you're not a science nerd like me. But he said something really profound. And he said, you cannot be in growth and protection mode at the same time. And if you really just sit and think about that, if you are wanting to start a family in the future, or if you're struggling currently right now, and you want to be able to grow a human inside of you, you need to take a look at your life and look at what kind of stress response you are in. Are you in survival mode? Is your body in fight or flight constantly? Then you are not able to have a healthy environment and make enough room for that growth and development to happen. So this is what I'm talking about when I say I'm going to get a little real, because it's hard to take a step back and look at the things that we need to work on. But if we can start there, at least we'll get the ball rolling, and we'll get one foot in front of the other. So let's take a look at the things in our lives that we need to change and need to add in or take away to help with our stress response. So I have a list of 8 things that I'm going to talk about in order to go from here. So now we know what chronic stress is. We know that that is causing us to be sick all the time, that is causing us to have a bad internal environment so that we are unable to live fully and live in an optimal place. And it's causing our nervous system to be interfered and a whole host of other things that I've talked about. So where do we go from here? So one of the first things that I'm going to say to you is we need to address our emotional support, our emotional stress, excuse me. And that's one of the hardest things on this list, I will say, because it's one of the touchiest things, and we have to be willing to ask for help. So whether that help be from a friend, a family member, a colleague, or even taking it a step further and getting some professional help. A therapist is a great idea, going to a pastor or a priest to talk about things, whoever you need in your life that you can help define your plan for addressing this emotional support, please do it. Whether that be seeking out energy workers or meditation. So I'm going to give you a list of things here that can help with some emotional support and addressing it. Prayer is another way to help with that. Journaling. Some people it's really cathartic for them to journal and get it out on paper. And while you're doing that, let's make a gratitude list. So it's not as simple as, oh, I'm going to make a list of things that I'm grateful for, and then my life is going to be peachy keen. No, it's not like that. But I will say, if you sit down every day and write down a few things that you are grateful for, it's going to change your mindset. It's going to make you appreciate the little things in life because they happen a lot more often than the big things in our life. And if we are in a state of gratitude, then we are unable to be in a state of fear and anxiety. And so it really is one of the tipping points to changing the way that we view things and we experience life. And so mindset and personal development and growth are also really huge. And I encourage you to check out some books of personal development or podcasts. I have a whole list of both. If you guys want to know some, I will reach out to me, and I will tell you who I like and what I like to listen to and read. And so we really have to start there and start dealing with the emotional stress that we have in our lives to get us out of this chronic stress response that we are in. Number 2, deep breathing. So this is something that most of us don't do. Pretty much all of us don't do. Here's a question. Have you guys taken a deep breath today? I probably haven't. It happens. We just go about our days. Most of us are really shallow breathers. And so I want you all right now, let's do it as a team. Take a deep breath. All right, well, let me tell you why deep breathing is so essential. So not only does it get the oxygen flowing through your body, which you need for survival, it also engages your diaphragm. And then it stimulates what is called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is a really long nerve that goes from your brainstem all the way down to your intestines. It's actually the longest nerve of our body. And it's a really cool nerve that is also the #1 parasympathetic stimulator. So what that means that if you can stimulate that nerve, then you can move your body from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic dominance. So in order to do that, you have to engage your diaphragm with deep breathing. This is one of the ways that you can stimulate that vagus nerve. So then that helps to override that sympathetic system and that sympathetic response that we're in. Let's do some deep breathing exercises. So what I like to say with deep breathing is we're going to breathe with our belly out. So putting your hands on your chest and your hands on your belly, if you can see that. Here we go. I want you to imagine and really focus that your hand on your belly is going out and your hand on your chest is staying still. So this is the first way to evaluate how you're breathing. Are you breathing with your chest? Your hand on your chest is going to go up. If not, your hand is going to go out on your belly. So that's one of the first steps with knowing that you're taking a really deep, healthy breath. The other thing I want you to do is what I call square breathing. This really helps to calm us down and focus on something else other than our anxiety and our worry. And so I tell this to a lot of people that have anxiety to do this. So imagine a square at the four sides of the square, and each side is going to be 4 seconds long. What you're going to do is you're going to inhale 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, exhale 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. So we're going to do it right here. Everybody, do it with me. Ready? Now you don't have to do your hands like that when you're doing it. I just did that for visualization. Think about it in your mind. Now, how do you feel after doing that? A little calmer if you're taking a deep breath. So this is really, really helpful for those who are not breathing well, who may be hyperventilating, having panic attacks, anxiety, really helping to switch out of that stress mode. Okay, number 3, diet. So I'm not going to tell you that you need to go clean out your cupboards and get rid of all of the bad things that you're eating right now, because I don't feel that that's realistic, and I don't feel that that's sustainable. So what I am an advocate of is adding things into our diet that are healthy. So it's much easier to add in good things than it is to take away bad things, because you're going to stop after a week because you're going to be too overwhelmed. So start with adding in colors of the rainbow. So getting our green foods, our red foods, orange, get as much variety as you can in your diet and start to add it in. You can juice. Juice is always a good way to get in some really dense nutrients that are going to help your body, to feed your body the nutrients and the good things that it needs in order to survive and be as healthy as possible. Adding in anti-inflammatory foods is always going to help, because we are chronically inflamed as a society. So if you can get as many different foods in your diet, and the healthier the better, and when you add those in, you're going to actually change your palate, and you're not going to crave the things that aren't so healthy for us. And you'll start to notice, without even trying, that you're not going to crave that unhealthy, and you're going to go for more of the healthy things. So that is a more realistic way of having a diet. I don't even like saying diet, because it's not about a diet, it's a lifestyle, you know. And so we do, though, need to be conscious of the food that we are eating and the sources that it comes from, and making sure that it's properly washed and cared for. If you eat meat, making sure that it's a good source, there's not a lot of hormones and antibiotics in that, and those things, we definitely want to try and reduce the chemical stressors from the food that we eat. But start small. Just start adding things in as opposed to taking things out. Okay, number 4, supplements. So a little caveat with supplements. I love them. I feel that there are some that most of us need because we're lacking from our diet. I feel that if we can get things from our diet first, I'm going to recommend that as opposed to going to a pill to take, whether it is a supplement. I also am not going to give specific supplement recommendations tonight on this webinar, because I am not going to make blanket statements. There are some that are really helpful for women who are struggling with fertility, but I feel that I cannot do justice towards health and my profession by coming up here and spouting out a bunch of supplements to people that I don't know. So you need to be a patient of mine first before I'm going to talk about actual supplements and doses and things like that, because some of the things we need to have blood work for. Because it's so important to know the exact amount of what you need. So if you have any questions about supplements, set up an appointment with me and we can talk more in depth about what that looks like. But they are important, especially when we're dealing with reproductive health. Number 5, physical activity. So let's move, people. I don't care what you do. You can do some weird interpretive dancing on the internet, on a webinar, whatever it is. Get your body moving, get the blood flowing, get the oxygen moving in your body every day or most days of the week for at least 20 to 60 minutes a day. that is going to do wonders for you, for your mental health, for your physical health. We need to move our bodies. Movement is life. And if we don't move, things get stagnant and start to break down. And not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, and energetically. So let's move our bodies, please. There are so many studies out there that say that it helps with so many disorders and illnesses and different mental health things. And so I guess I could do a whole webinar on physical activity. Maybe I will. But that is just so important for us to have a healthy life and to prepare ourselves, if our goal is to get pregnant, prepare ourselves for the changes in our body when we're pregnant and labor and delivery. Number 6, proper water intake. Everybody take a water break. Cheers. Okay. Most of us don't drink enough water. And so we need to increase that because our bodies are made of water, and the majority of our bodies are water. So we need to replenish that water. We need to be able to get waste out of our bodies properly. So you need to be able to have clear urine in order to know that you are drinking enough water and flushing out your toxins. So if you're a numbers cruncher like me and you need to know a number, take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2, and then that is the amount of ounces that you need to be drinking of water a day. So if you're 150 pounds, then you need 75 ounces of water a day. If you drink that and your urine is still not clear, then you need to up it a little bit, because that changes with the weather, how much we're sweating, how much physical activity we do, how much stress that we're under. We need to be replenishing ourselves with good, healthy, clean water. And so some things that you can do to help remind you to drink more water is, you know, these kids these days and their apps. There's apps all over the place for water. You can actually put how much water that you drink on there, and it reminds you, gives you an alert and all this thing. It's crazy, but it helps if you need that. Another thing that you can do, which I'm gonna give a shout out to Elena, our office manager. She did this and I thought it was genius. So she took one of our clear water bottles and she wrote a time of day on them. And so she knew that by 11 a.m. she needed to have this much down. And then by 1 p.m. she had to drink this much. And so it really it keeps you on track with, oh my gosh, it's gonna be 2 o'clock and I still have to drink this, let's get it going, to know that you're drinking enough water throughout the day and you're not just chugging it all at once. So drink more water, please. All right. Number 7 is adequate sleep. So we need sleep, and we need the right amount, and we need it to be quality. And those are 2 of the things that we as a culture struggle with. So if you need to be sleeping more hours a day, then you need to start reevaluating your activities at night so that you can get to bed earlier. Most of us are walking around with not enough sleep, and it really starts to affect the way that our bodies react to things, the way that we perceive things, the way that we function, and it's just not a good thing. And to know how it's not only about quantity, but it's about quality. So I'm going to say a couple things here that might be a little crazy and people might not be in agreement with it, but I'm going to encourage you to highly, highly encourage you to take out the TV from your bedroom. No phones, no tablets, and no TVs in your bedroom, so that you're not watching them before you fall asleep, or you're not scrolling through Facebook or your social before you go to sleep, because the technology, the devices that we have, emit a blue light. And that blue light is proven to mess up our circadian rhythm, which is in our sleep cycle, and disrupt the hormones that we produce. Remember hormones? Hormone imbalance, not a good thing. So take them out of the room. There's only 2 things that you need to be doing in your bedroom, and that's sleep and sex. Everything else, get out and go into another room. This is just part of having a healthy sleep hygiene. So make it a ritual. So an hour before you go to bed, turn off your electronics, sit down and talk to your partner or friend, or read a book, or get some tea, get some chamomile tea and sip on that, and really just wind down for the day. And that is really going to help you get better sleep, more quality sleep, when we slow things down. Because during the day, we are going full speed ahead, and we can't just stop and expect us to just fall asleep immediately and have a good quality sleep. Our sleep is going to be affected. Our body is then going to be affected. Our batteries aren't going to recharge. If we're not getting sleep, we need sleep to heal, we need it to recover, and we need it to recharge our body and our batteries, so to speak. So very, very important. And last but not least, I think it should be number one on the list, but I'm going to talk about it last. What I feel is so important to enhance our bodies, improve our bodies, improve our health, and enhance our fertility in a natural way is chiropractic care. Now, I am a chiropractor, so I'm a little biased, but I'm a chiropractor for a reason, because I believe in it so much. Chiropractic care helps to address the root cause of the problem by looking at the nervous system and the way that it is functioning, and removing that interference to the nervous system, so our body and our nervous system can then work the way that it needs to and heal itself. So what I do is I make very specific and effective adjustments to the spine that is protecting that nervous system, in order to remove the stress to the nerves. Chiropractic care helps to input positive information to the brain, then the brain reorganizes, rewires, and retrains itself and the rest of the body to change our stress response patterns. So it helps to balance us in that parasympathetic and sympathetic system, which we need to have. And then ultimately it helps us with our stress buckets, so we're not carrying as much stress in our bodies, so that it doesn't flow over and spill over. Chiropractic care helps to increase the way that our bodies cope and adapt to that stress as well, and the environment that we're in, or how we perceive the environment that we're in. And it helps to restore the brain-body communication. So it's really important that the brain and the body are on the same page if we're wanting to live a healthy life, if we're wanting to have children, get pregnant and sustain that pregnancy. We need our body to talk. We need our brain to tell our ovaries when to release that egg. We need the hormones in our bodies to be working at the way that they're intended to, in order to have a healthy life. Immune function and the endocrine system, which is hormones, are all interrelated with the nervous system. So chiropractic care helps to restore those and give us an immune booster. But ultimately, it allows our bodies to heal and work in the way that it was intended to, by removing the stress away from the nervous system. Because we are self-regulating beings, we are also self-healing, and we're able to function at 100% when we are allowed to. It's just that we as humans get in the way of that. And so that's why I believe that chiropractic and a nervous system free from interference is the missing link to this preconception fertility world. Because when we don't have our nervous system health, then the rest of us cannot be healthy. The rest of our body is unable to do what it needs to do. So I feel like this needs to be talked about more, and so that's why I'm bringing this up in this webinar. And so I encourage you and I ask you to please share this information with your friends and your loved ones, because it needs to get out there. And I truly just believe that that once we restore the health of our nervous system, the rest of our body can then function better, and it helps us to create a healthier internal environment, which is so necessary in order to sustain life. So in our office, we have a technology that helps to measure the interference and the stress to our nervous system, and we do some nervous system scans. So here's one of the scans that we do. These scans help us as chiropractors to see inside the person's body how much stress they have, where exactly that stress is, And then it also shows how that person is coping and adapting to the stress in their life. So it's really great technology that gives us a lot of insight to how the body is functioning, not just how they're feeling, but how it's functioning, which is really, really important and vital. So I highly recommend all of you out there that are watching this and your friends and family to get your nervous system checked, because I believe that it is worth it for you to know that if there is something underlying going on with your health and your body, that you deserve to know what that is and what you're dealing with. You deserve to live your life to your full potential and reach the goals that you have in your life. Because I know how it is to get a diagnosis looming over your head, and the stress that brings. And I feel that we are more than our diagnosis, and we deserve to live to our full potential as humans. So if you are interested at all in learning more about this technology that we have, the nervous system scans, if you are interested at all in learning more about chiropractic care, I would love to help you along this journey. So please don't hesitate to call the office and set up an appointment with me to talk about what's going on with your life and to talk about the goals that you have and see how it is that I can help you reach those goals that you have. So I'm offering as a thank you for you all being here tonight for going on 42 minutes now that I've been rambling. As a thank you for being here tonight and listening to this webinar, I am offering a special promo for those who want to come and get their nervous system checked. So if you call the office and set up an appointment, we will honor that special promo for you. Just mention this webinar, and Emma and Elena, the front desk ladies, will take great care of you and honor that promo that I am offering for you guys as a thank you, because you do deserve to know exactly where you're sitting and why you may be having some frustration and some things going on in your life that you're not finding the answers to. So please go to our Facebook page, find us on social, and follow us. Give us a like. We'll be talking about more webinars in the future, so I'm hoping to make this a series. So if you have any ideas or thoughts or want me to talk about a certain topic of a webinar, reach out on social and let me know what that is, or send an email, or stop by the office and give me some ideas, because I love feedback. So does anybody have any questions out there for me right now? I'm ready to answer. Anybody? I don't see any right now. Okay, so if I don't have any questions in the next couple minutes, I'm gonna wrap this up so we can get on with the evening. If you want, if you're in Lincoln, if you're in the Lincoln area, you wanna reach out, our number is 402-615-6022. Shoot us an email, it's info@thrivelincoln.com. Follow us on social, and I think I'm going to wrap it up here because I don't have any questions. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you all being here and your support. And this was fun, right? Give me a like. Anybody out there? Okay. Thank you guys so much. And you have a good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.